and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. It's me, Stev. It's John. Nessie is not here today. She is unfortunately working, but this is sort of an emergency fill-in idea stream anyway, because, yeah, this is a topic that has been needing to be spoken about for a long time. We've talked about our struggles with our mental health over the years. We've talked about it a few times, but some of you are aware, some of you are not. If you were at Ice and Fire Con and you were in a very specific circle of friends, you're going to know a lot about what I'm going to say, although some of it will still be an update. But I thought I wanted to talk to a larger group of people about what's really going on in my life and how that affects the way that I approach wanting to do this type of thing, like to continue doing YouTube. Because if I'm 100% honest, the first thing I want to say is that I don't really want to do YouTube anymore, but I want to, if that makes sense, like this used to be so much fun. Oh no, I'm sorry. No con scandals. This was not scandalous. This was me talking about my personal mental health with a group of friends. Just want that to be clear. But it was a group of friends at a convention. Some of those people are here in the chat right now. At least one of them is. I'm not going to out anybody, but I remember loving doing this, John. Don't you?
Yeah. And like that hasn't like it hasn't like gone away, but I know I've kind of felt like we've drifted away from
the love of it.
Yeah, it's
like it's become this thing where we stress out about what are we going to talk about, and like I'm with you on that, Broken Birds. I don't recognize you. If I do know you, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you, but if not, I know how you feel. Like the A Song of Ice and Fire community that's around the books, and especially blew up from the TV show, is what brought a lot of us together as a friend group to begin with. And oh, okay, from Geek Chat. I know him, yeah, for sure. But like we like that fan community has definitely, because there's been a drama or two, there has been some things that have happened, and because the show isn't there, the hype isn't there, like that has largely drifted away. Our little corner of it here at Here Be Dragons has continued to hold on pretty tightly as a friend group, even to this day. So yeah, I'm gonna ramble a lot. I don't have a script for this. I don't know where it's gonna end up. People are gonna say things in the chat that are gonna take the conversation in different directions. Drop the link in the den. You can join. Oh, okay, Nessie. I see what you're saying. Invite, copy. I'm gonna drop the link and get Nessie in here. I didn't understand what you said while I was trying to talk, but I got you. There you go.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I'll just say, because I like, I think we have both of us come like, as far as the YouTubing thing, we're struggling in not the same ways, but in similar ways and that's predominantly because I have tried over the years to have my own channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of things that have been going on in my life, the attempts at getting that consistently going again keep kind of faltering because I just don't have the mental
Yeah.
strength to do it. And so, yeah, it's a difficult thing, but um, I'm continue to be so thankful for our group of friends, uh, and that is one thing that I don't want to let up on or to to let slide away, um,
Yeah.
because that's so important to me. But it is sometimes like it was just speaking for myself. It was like I know why I've tried to do it and why I try to continue to do it, but it is a very stupid idea to be on two separate YouTube channels and have one of them be on Saturday and the other be on Sunday. It's just
Yeah.
I have not been making decisions that are conducive to my own mental health.
And
So
that's ultimately what this is about.
yeah,
This stream is about the future of this channel, but it's also about my mental health and yours too, John. Um, I know, like, I can only speak to my own experience, but I know what you've gone through this last year, and it's been a very hard year for you, and it's been a very hard year for me. Um,
yeah,
I am not going to talk a whole lot about my family specifics, but suffice it to say, I have a 19-year-old daughter out there. I have no idea if she's where she is, what she's doing. Um, yeah. And I haven't known for months where she is, what she's doing. And our last words between each other were pretty like hateful and hurtful on her part. And that has had a really big effect on me, bigger than I expected, even knowing that it would hurt, you know? Um, and I don't want to get any much more specific than that. Some of you know a great deal more about the details than that, but just for anyone who is watching this and is trying to understand the context, that is probably the biggest thing that has pushed me over the edge of like falling into the deep depression that I've been in this year. It really started last year with losing my job. And, you know, that didn't help. But then, like, this thing going on with my daughter where she's basically rejecting our whole family and haven't heard from her in months is just, it's really hurt me. And being out of work with that on top of it and feeling bad about, it really snowballed on me. For those of you who have been around for a long time, just even if you're just a watcher of the streams, and we don't socialize outside of that. If you just watch the streams, but you've been doing that for a long time, I'm sure you will notice that we are missing weeks more and more often. And that is often because the stress of trying to figure out what the hell to talk about for 2 hours has gotten to me. And then I end up withdrawing from doing everything. Like, yeah. So long story short, I've been in the worst depressive cycle maybe ever in my life, and I am a lifelong sufferer of depression. So it's been bad, and there are words that I don't want to use on YouTube, or in public so as not to trigger people or, exacerbate anybody's already complicated feelings about these types of matters. But we'll just say that I have been to some pretty damn dark places mentally over the last 6 months or so. And trying to like figure out how to entertain the people that I care about for 2 hours a week is a thing that is that has the potential to make it worse. Sometimes it makes it so much better because, like, I know the people that come here on the regular. I know who you are. and you are fantastic people. People that I like. This is going out to the wide world. People that I don't know are going to watch this. And whoever you are, if you want to make fun of me, fine, go ahead. But anybody else, if this helps you, like, think this, that's why I'm doing it. And I need it still too. Like, my friends are here. I want you guys to talk to me about that. Like, I need that support system. I am way off in the weeds. I'm sorry, John. Will you talk
No.
for a minute? Will you talk for a minute? Just
Yeah. I do want to say that, and I kind of, as far as the channel has gone, I shoulder some of the blame for that because I feel like I used to be a lot more involved in planning stuff, and that hasn't been the case for a while. And part of that has been to do with me trying to continue to do my own channel. And then I end up not being as heavily involved when you need the help to, like, because you shouldn't have to come up with ideas for every week. This is, we and speaking, I was just about to mention Nessie. This is three of us that do this channel, and I should be more involved with planning out ideas and stuff. That shouldn't be on you all the time, especially when you're, had the year, as many of us have, but you've been really going through it, and you shouldn't have to have the stress of planning for every week to come on and have a fun time, and then it turns into not being fun because it's so much work.
The thing is, honestly, the streaming is usually fun. Usually. The stress of trying to have something ready to go is not always fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially right now, while I'm like, y'all, part of this is my accountability to my friend group and to the community who have been asked for help directly by me this time. Their love, Broken Birds love your piano. It is a backdrop.
It is
a not real piano.
Not a real piano. Thank you.
But it is a beautiful backdrop.
Yeah. You I remember because you fooled me initially with that. I remember.
Fooled a lot of people.
Right.
Well, that's mental health too. You fool a lot of people.
Imposter syndrome. We've got a whole freaking stream about imposter syndrome. It's called SAFES. What is it? Social anxiety and phantom engagement. SAFE.
Yeah. And I will say, if I can say a bit more, and at any point, like, you're the one who whose idea in the stream was, and I know that you have a lot going through. So if at any point you're like, John, I need to speak up about myself, just tell me to shut up and I will.
No, you're fine. We've got plenty of time. We're going to get there.
I will say that this, I mean, you guys know the things that have been going on with me over this past year. And it's weird to think that I am coming up on a year since my mom passed away. But the thing is that when that happened, and obviously I knew for a while that would happen eventually, but when it did, it just snowballed into 1,000 different things. And that's not even talking about the fact that I lost my dog back in I think it was either January or March. I don't know. It all blends together, but not even talking about that, which was brutal because it brought like everything back up to 100. But I've just like felt my mind splintering as a result of all this, and I was thinking about this today, and I guess I'll just open up and sort of get into the weeds with my feelings a bit. I think that for almost all of my life, I sort of defined myself by my relationship with my mother. And I mean that in a really good way because she was my best friend. And I've always been an incredibly shy person. Although I have talked to some people online who are like, you're not a shy person. And then I'm like, yes, I am. I'm extraordinarily shy. And so she was, my best friend and the person I could always go to talk. And a lot of my interests were interests that we shared. And so I think that as she was slipping away over these past couple of years, and I'm not saying this in either a good or a bad way because it's a little bit of both, but I do feel like I probably started to try to define myself based on the community that I have found myself in. And by that, I mean, not just our little corner of it, but this larger Song of Ice and Fire fandom where being on Twitter and having a following and making posts and having my own YouTube channel and stuff, I think I've tried to fit myself into a box that sometimes fit, but it didn't always. And I've started to lose myself a little bit. And so then I became, I was trying to hold on to the parts of me that are me and that I've spent, almost 40 years of my life being, and then this person that I was equal parts trying to be, but also maybe turning into, and trying to figure all that out without being sort of split in half, and that has happened partially, and so it's been a really, and so for that and 1,000 other reasons, it's been a really stressful year.
Yeah, I would like to point out, thank you, Weezy, official timekeeper of Here Be Dragons. You can always know when it's 4:20 somewhere when you've got Weezy. And I also should state, I got really, really, really prepared for this talk because anxiety medication. John, yeah, like I'm very familiar with that. Part of what this is meant to be is me holding myself accountable publicly because I'm crawling out from under our rock right now, y'all, that I have been under for months. And like, this is just me like poking my head out, honestly. I let things go really far too long in far too many ways and got myself into a pretty bad bind. So this is the only time I want to reference it, and I don't want to make it about this. There is a link in the description to a GoFundMe to try to help me bounce back from this. I am in therapy now. For the first time in 30 years, I am in therapy, and I've had 2 sessions, and I wish I could say, oh, it's been miraculously great. It hasn't, but like, it's one of those things that takes time. But yeah, I'm in therapy now, working on trying to get diagnosed or medicated or whatever, So yeah, I'm in therapy, y'all. It's time. I'm talking with a dude named Dakota, and I feel like he's a pretty good listener.
really proud of you, Stev.
Yeah.
Me too. I know that wasn't. I know it's not easy for you to do, but
It's scary to me for reasons that you both, because you were both in on that conversation at Ice and Fire Con.
Yeah.
Like you know that like it scares me to go do that. Going to therapy actually scares me, but like, and I have been 100, but like, I'm trusting the process and being like very honest about everything. But yeah, like I can't tell it's helping yet, other than like, you know, I've made a phone call or two that I wouldn't have made otherwise, because my part of it is my therapist is like, he asked me about my support system, and I'm like, dude, I have the best huge group of friends in the freaking world. And he's like, why are you isolating yourself from them? Because I'm isolating. It's a response to something. I'm not sure what. Well, I do know what. It's this depression, but like when you isolate, you're not around the people that can help you with that positive feedback.
Yeah.
You're not around the people that can help you, but you're also not around the people that will know that there's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of that hiding away, trying to retain just a little bit of control in your life. That if I can just keep this little thing separate.
Kartik, thank you. Like, this is even probably better. You want to really help? Hire me to be your dungeon master. I'm an excellent dungeon master.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I will make a D&D game for you and your friends that you will never forget. And it will last you a year and a half if you wanted to. I'm good. I'm good. Reasonable rates. Yeah, that is my job now. So part of my problem is that the job that I lost is a job that I lost because I physically couldn't do it anymore. So like trying to go back to, I did the same job for decades, and trying to find another field where I don't have skills for another job. You know what I mean? So I kind of was backed into a corner, and that was very depressing. And then the kid thing happened, and that made it even worse. So yeah, I am trying to make the D&D thing go. There's also a link for that down in the description if you want to go to my start playing. But honestly, if you want me to be a DM for you, the best way is just contact me through, whatever means. I'm not that hard to find. But yeah, let's talk about the future of the channel more specifically. Unless, Nessie, is there something else you want to talk about mental health, yours or mine, or mental health in general?
This is Pi. This is my emotional.
How do you spell that?
PI, or 3.14. Ask Kartik for the rest.
Right,
that's a short name. But I've been going through it now for quite a few years. You all know, we all went through a pandemic. It was incredibly hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly hard.
Yes.
It took every bit of joy I had in life.
I remember.
It left me a dried up husk. I had nothing left to give.
Yeah. For those of you without context, Nessie is a respiratory therapist, and she helps people breathe who have trouble breathing. So at the height of COVID, it was a rough time for you. You were the front line.
I was the line.
Mm-hmm.
I was the line in the sand, and many others. But yes, that was there. And I just didn't realize how empty my tank was. Just
And
like
the thing is, like, I remember we took up a collection and we sent you gifts and snacks and like gift cards and stuff to help you get by. But like, and I'm sure that gave you a boost and it made you feel good. And it teaches you that your friends love you, but it doesn't sustain you.
no, and I internalized a lot of anger,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really yeah, believe it or not, I can have anger issues. I seem like the nice one in the group, but
I know. I know. I've seen you angry. Not often, but it's happened.
it's happened. And I was having more and more issues dealing with that anger, and it was coming up in unexpected and unwanted times. And I too am being helped with my issues. Oh, by the way, I started menopause in the middle of the pandemic, so that didn't help. And that's a crazy ride right there. Yeah. So we've all kind of been, for whatever reason, we've all been tapped out.
Yeah. So everyone, all three of us, have had a rough time for various reasons. The thing is, as much as I said earlier in the stream that I don't want, like, a part of me wants to just quit doing YouTube, but that feels like just quitting at this point. I would be quitting because I'm giving in to the depression. So part of it, like, if we can change the way we think about things and the way we present what we do here, maybe we will find that it is feels like less of a like a chore, like something we have to do. And here's another thing, like, given my financial difficulties at the time, like, there I am loath to turn off the Patreon. I need everything I can get. But that Patreon means I should be delivering content to the people who are sending me money. And they've all told me, like, look, we don't expect you to do it every week, but I can't, like, do it once a month either. I want to be accountable to everyone who cares enough to keep us doing this, you know. And like Wheezy says, she would miss us in this community. And I know a lot of times Wheezy's here, she doesn't even know the stuff we're talking about. She's just here to hang out. And maybe that's what we turn this into. Less about, like,
that more about this.
Yes. Maybe that's the answer.
I think so too. I'm like, I really enjoy coming on here, and when our conversation gets in the weeds about some things, that's sometimes the best part of the show. Yes, it's a show, but it's also coming here and hanging out with you guys and having meaningful conversations about whatever. It could be about anything. It doesn't have to be about some show that we're watching. It doesn't have to be
Right.
about, in any particular thing. Just getting on here and talking to you guys.
Do you know one of the things that I thought about that I wanted to do? And I think it'd be really fun, and it would be engaging with people who are here live too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's live turn characters from pop culture into D&D characters. I'll make characters for them. Like, that's stupid fun, but it lets you get off in the weeds talking about a character too.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to show up knowing which character you're going to do. Somebody in the chat can say, okay, make one for, don't pick Conan. That's too obvious. He's a barbarian. But,
He's multi-class, Stephen.
he is. He's probably got a couple levels of rogue.
Rogue. easily a couple of levels of rogue.
Yeah, you're right. But like, this is the fun conversation that we could have, being stupid about, like, and that's an idea of a thing we could do. But like, trying to have the idea of like, everybody cram The Witcher this week,
Yeah.
and like, I don't want to do that anymore, y'all. And
No.
also, when I started this channel, when I was like, it's time to get serious, I'm getting logo, branding, co-host, all that. The idea was to stream every week for a year. It's been 4 years, y'all, since I've been doing this. And this is episode 199. Which means that next week is episode 200. And maybe what we do for episode 200 is it's episode 1 of the new format. And we just show up and we talk about what we watched this week. We talk about what we read this week. We talk about what's going on in our mental health journeys, if that's part of the conversation we want to have. Because this started as a YouTube channel to create a friend group, and now it feels like a friend group that still has a YouTube channel attached to it, because the Here Be Dragons Slack group, friend group, crew has evolved so far beyond this platform. Like, for those of you that don't know, our Slack group is not wrong one, this one. Our Slack group, send me an email to we3dragons@gmail.com. Let me edit. I should edit this because I can make it a lot better.
I actually I really like the idea of coming on to just, and we discuss, like, in terms of like things we've been watching or reading, to have the stream be a place where we can talk about the stuff we've been experiencing throughout the week, instead of experiencing something specific throughout the week to come on to talk about. It's it makes it so that, like, I think it would be a way for, and I'm just speaking personally, so I can focus more on, like, just, you know, absorbing the media that I want to see without having to worry about, like, fitting that in between the assignment that I have for Sunday.
So what do we say? Next week we come back and we try a whole new format. Lady Starfall asks, are we calling it quits? We are not. We are checking in with our friend group. We are telling everybody we are, all three of us, struggling with our own mental health issues right now. They all are, each of us has our own unique flavor. Isn't it fun, guys? But we are not quitting, but we are also acknowledging that trying to force ourselves to be ready every Sunday has hurt us, all of us recently, in that we are often find ourselves trying to figure out a way to make sure we have something to talk about every Sunday. And when we don't, we feel bad for letting our friends down. So we are probably shaking up our format. And next week, it's just chatting. And hey, anybody want to come on? Any one of you wants to come on and talk about what you've been watching or reading, come on. Because that's what we've always done here. Right?
Don't ever change, Powder.
Oh, I'm not reading the chat.
Oh, yeah.
The BCU? Okay. Father will always be a troll. It's fine.
No, but why do I have it? But now we're opening you guys up for at least one mention of the KCU every week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, you all know what that means.
I already know.
But yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
See, okay, thank you, Cece. That is very sweet. But I also would like to say, in response to that, that if it if the joy comes back, why wouldn't we do it every week, right? But I'm not sure. We're as I said, we didn't know where this was going to go. There's no script. This is a conversation just happening live in the moment. None of us have it figured out. We're
And
all dealing with stuff. We all want to keep doing this, or at least I want to keep doing this. Does that make sense?
I will say that, as a side note, maybe this doesn't say great things about our, our structure, but whenever we go off into the weeds and have like free flowing conversations, I always feel like we've been at our best anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when we try to rigidly follow some kind of a formula.
There's a couple of questions in the comments I want to talk about. Yes, CC, absolutely. I owe you one. I owe you a big one from a year and a half ago. Because CC, if y'all remember, showed up one morning when we were doing
HereBeCon.
And she brought booze and yeah,
care package.
Yes,
I remember very much so.
I owe you one. Whatever, you know what? You can come on anytime you want. If you want, you can come on before and after that. So you just let me know.
Anytime.
And JP Sixto Sound says, "Does it feel like you're just going through the motions with this show?" Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Not all the time, but yeah, sometimes. Especially if it's like a show that I'm not super hyped about,
And also, if I can just talk briefly about my experience on my own channel. Part of the reason why it keeps sort of falling apart, meaning I started up and then I don't keep it going for very long. Part of that is because it's just too much to do two separate channels. But another part of that is sometimes I come up with film ideas to talk about, to have a friend on to talk with me, but it just will become a standard conversation of hitting this beat, that beat. And it's like the episodes when I've been really inspired to talk about something, there's a joy that happens in the conversation, but that doesn't happen. That hasn't happened on my channel for a while, unless it's a specific film that I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk about this with this person. And that's why I sort of floated the idea amongst some of our friends a number of weeks ago. I was like, I'm thinking about, if I keep my channel going, having it be that, where I see something that really excites me and I have somebody that I want to talk about that thing with, and that's when I'll do a stream. But
okay, we still need to do Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because I'm excited to talk about that movie. Just for the record. Also, we can then turn them into D&D characters because they're D&D characters.
You didn't say that for this channel.
Yes, I will. I won't do that on your channel. I might, you might hear a mention of D&D, but I will not try to make them into characters. You know what I mean? But like that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun to me.
Luckily, and John has played in a lot of films, and she's done a lot of different things. So, John, you've got some fodder to work with. you know.
Well, and it's funny because I do actually wonder if even doing the channel at all was honestly just like everything else was just window dressing, and the whole point in my subconscious was just to have a space where I could talk about all the Keira Knightley movies that I wanted
Yes,
to talk about.
John, we all knew that as it was happening. None of us are
mean,
learning some deep truth here.
no,
may
the
be
Knights of
revelatory
Kira
to
are
you,
a
but-
thing. We know this.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And that's what makes you happy. And your eyes light up. And I'm fine with that. You know, the only
And-
D&D character John ever made
Yeah, exactly. It
was
was
based on a Keira Knightley character. I'm just gonna say.
and that's the thing, like it's also not a surprise that I didn't really take to playing D&D. But that's sort of part of what I was talking about earlier was, and that is not to like say anything. I love that you guys love it so much, but what was happening when I actually like was playing was I, you know, granted I wanted to give it an actual shot, but I probably like continued doing it for a couple more sessions than like I would have. But what I was trying to do was I realized now that I was trying my best to make other people happy when I wasn't, like when it wasn't making me happy. And
Wrong to be there.
yeah, and so that's a big thing for me of you know, you don't want to shut yourself off from your from things that your friends are having fun with and have interests in, and you want to open yourself up to that. But if something's not for you, you shouldn't like keep doing that to make other people happy at the expense of yourself.
Brother, you know me. Like, I wanted you to try. I wish to God you did enjoy it. I mean, that you don't. I respect that you don't 100%. Anybody that knows me knows it's like the number one thing I'd rather be doing probably is playing D&D. You know, I love it. It's my thing. It's my job and my hobby, and I still love doing it. So,
but actually, I did have a recent like thought though, which was my way into and this is a way that actually does make me happy, and it's a way to enjoy D&D, at least in elements of it with you guys. Is okay, so the actual playing of the game is not for me, but I genuinely enjoyed watching the movie.
And like Vox Machina.
Yeah, and
and Vox Machina. So I like the storytelling like properties of it. So that's my way into the world, and to share that with you guys, even if the actual game is not for me. So I need to embrace that, like the aspects of it that do speak to me, and like be happy doing that. And yeah, so yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you have Jess's permission to try stuff and decide that it's not for you. Thank you, Jess, for giving John permission to not like D&D. I play D&D with Jess. I play D&D, well, not right now with Kate, but I have played with Kate, who's in the chat. Potter's in the chat, played with him. Blue Lemons, I play with her. Kartik Prabhu, I play with him. Yeah, so like there's a lot of people I play D&D with in the chat. Nessie, play with you all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
It's my jam. It's my jelly.
And if you want to try it, dude, I'm telling you, I am an expert at teaching people to play D&D. I have become so good at it over the past 3 or 4 years. If you're scared to try, trust me, I'm your guy. Email me, whatever. You know. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, y'all. What have you been watching this week? I got caught up on Strange New Worlds.
Nice. I haven't watched it yet. I don't care. It's fine. Spoil me.
Yeah,
Well,
I haven't gotten to it yet, but something that I did start watching this week because I've seen sporadic episodes over the past couple decades, I guess, but I've never like sat down to actually watch the show, which is Futurama. And so
you're in Futurama right now.
so I've started watching that, and because of course there's a new season coming out on Hulu. So yeah, and I'm really enjoying that, and it's really taking me back because I have seen like a lot of it feels familiar. So it like takes me back. I think it started in like '99, which is incredible to me. But yeah, so I've been really enjoying that, and then I have been also watching the new season of Outlander, which has a very special thing for me because it's the last show that's like still not quite in the middle, but in the midst of its run that I watched with my mom, and so so it does feel like there's that feeling of I can almost sense like her sitting next to me as I'm watching the show, and then I am about to start watching the new episodes of The Witcher.
Yeah, I haven't started Witcher yet. I don't know if I'm going to watch it, honestly. I might, but I don't really care, It is, some of that is the depression. Like, some of the I don't care, I know is the depression. But I'm still, like, if I don't care, I'm not going to watch it. I will find something that I can care about watching. Strange New Worlds. Very good. Very good. I must say, episode 1 is a really fun, good episode of Star Trek. Episode 2 and 3 of this newest season are both, to me, some of the best Trek. I'm not ready to, hand over the crown or anything, but just it's really, really good Star Trek. And I'm not a Trekkie, but it's good. It's good science fiction. Okay, people are throwing out stuff. Yellow Jackets. Wheezy is on about, I'm sure this is a Chinese historical epic. Goodbye, My Princess, and Gone with the Rain. In Mandarin with English subtitles on YouTube. Wheezy always got the sort of like Chinese dramatic storytelling stuff. Let's see. Sixto Sounds. I've been watching Terry Gilliam's films. They make me super uncomfortable in an interesting way.
Yeah, I have not seen. I don't think I've seen most of his work, but the ones I have seen, I'm a big fan of both 12 Monkeys and Brazil, which Sanri had me watch for when we had that stream that I think like one or two people were in the chat. And it was a very stream of consciousness conversation, but no, like, man, he is a very weird filmmaker, and I think like 12 Monkeys is supposed to be his most mainstream piece of work, which really says something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to see Brazil, but I love 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys was like I saw that when I was younger, and both me and my mom were like completely puzzled at the ending of the movie, and and now that I'm older, I realize there's supposed to be a bit of puzzlement going on, but I think I have more of a grasp on it now, but I just love it. I think it was one of those first movies where I was like, oh, damn, like Brad Pitt is actually an extraordinarily talented actor, because that was the performance unlike anything I'd seen from him up to that point. So.
Sorry, a little sidetracked. I'm trying to keep up with the chat while you're talking. Dan agrees with me that episode 2 in particular was one of the best episodes of Trek ever. It is, and it's doing the thing that only science fiction can do. Do you know? You know what I mean? Like, there are certain there are story tropes and elements that can cross all genres, but there are certain types of reflecting on the present through an imagined future that only really science fiction can do. And episode 2 of it's just so good. And then episode 3 is a really excellent. But I don't want to spoil it. It's been really good. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. I guess we're talking about Brad Pitt loving him in Troy.
I prefer Eric Bana in Troy. I think his performance as Hector is just great, and that was really one of the. Well, no, I guess, yeah, he was in that, and before that, I guess he had been in the.
Munich?
No, Munich was after Troy, but he was in, I think the thing I saw him in before that was that first Hulk movie. So I think, and that didn't go over super well. So I think Troy was the thing where he got really good reviews for that performance, and then he was in Munich, which I absolutely.
I can't watch that movie again, though. God, it's just, it's brutal.
It is brutal. That's what's so great about it. Yeah, no.
I'm glad I watched it. Don't want to watch it again. No.
And like, it's got one of John Williams' best scores. So
who?
Some guy.
Some rando.
Just some guy.
Some guy who plays on the piano.
Which, by the way, I was just last night listening to a great album called Across the Stars, which of course is named after his piece of music from Star Wars Episode 2, but it's like versions of a lot of his music rewritten for the violin, and it's just no, John Williams didn't do Troy. I could talk all day about the hijinks with the score for Troy. James Horner ended up scoring that, but originally it was the composer was Gabriel Yared, and then he was replaced last minute because a test audience thought that the score was too overbearing, which I've heard the score. This is why you shouldn't put too much stock in test audiences and just trust the filmmakers, because that score was much better than what eventually ended up in the film. As big a fan as I am of James Horner, when you have to write a score in like 2 or 3 weeks, it's not going to be as good as the score that another composer spent a year working on.
It's not going to be your best work. I've just been watching reruns of things that I've watched before because it's easy. I have background noise on. I can just sit down, watch it, not really have to make a lot of, not really have to think a whole lot about it. I did watch the new season of Criminal Minds. I don't know if probably neither one of you guys like that, but because it's like a FBI procedural kind of thing.
I'm not.
It's more about the characters and the people rather than whatever. But I just like the getting into the minds of the mental health and whatever of serial killers and crazy people.
That's why I'm a dungeon master.
Right. I'm learning.
Be the killer.
I'm learning, Stephen. I've
I
got to
know
have.
you're doing great too, buddy. Like you're my dungeon master now too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, we've been doing that now for over a year. Believe it or not.
George is at home. Please leave him. Sorry, I was going. Sorry, going off on a Seinfeld reference.
Okay, you have like Cece is right there with you.
Yeah, yeah. I like it. It's not so. I don't like the serial killers. I like getting in their heads and figuring out why they behave the way they do. I like the process of behavioral analysis. And I've talked about watching because it's Netflix and Netflix just effing kills me. Don't even start watching this. It's called Mind Killer, and it's about the kind of like a pseudo factual type origins of behavioral analysis unit. So, love it. Anna Torv is in it. More Anna Torv everywhere, all the time. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, it's kind of like a comfort place for me. I can just turn it on and watch it. And my cat likes it.
Oh well,
Yeah. And
your cat likes a lot of things. Your cat likes your shoulder right now. He looks very cute, by the way.
he's
Can we just have a moment for some kitty cat appreciation? Let me get that banner off the screen. So there, look at this guy. Look at him. Oh, hey, buddy.
hi there.
Did you realize we
Oh,
were
You.
looking at you?
He likes watching YouTube videos with me.
Mm-hmm.
He prefers, he likes some kitten videos, but only the ones where the kittens are being active, not actively cued. And he loves watching little chick videos.
Oh, yeah, I bet he does.
Yes, yes. I'm thinking about starting a TikTok for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he likes the chicks. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He likes them little chicky nuggets. Um, yeah, he's just he's a great cat. I don't know how I ended up so lucky. It kind of he's sort of a natural. Thank you, thank you.
That's his full name right there.
It's not his full name. We can never call him by his
Well,
full
you
name.
can never spell his full name.
Yeah, because he's never, then he can never be in trouble. So, yeah, he's a great little guy.
Anyway, you know what, guys? We've been going for an hour, so what we're gonna do a mid roll, quote unquote.
Yeah. Click the things, do the things.
Right. So, yeah, like and subscribe, and come back and listen to us ramble about random crap tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week. I also think we might shorten to an hour a week. I have noticed that I get really antsy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do want to thank everybody, including all the dragons that continue to love and support us through all of this, including the Great Wyrms, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, and Lord John Bronsteen the Wise. And they are like awesome people. Thank you guys. You've been around forever. But as well as like the rest of y'all who keep kicking in, the Elder Dragons, the Cloaked One of the Underworld, Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, Arch-Maester Emma, Kate, Mistress of the House of Books, Jared Kozal, Doctor of Dragons, Lady Maura Lee of Starfall, not Lady Starfall, but Lady Maura Lee of Starfall, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
And Lady Rita the Unbound, because Lady Starfall's in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Maura Lee's not in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys knew. And we have other patrons too. Our Dragon tier patrons are also many, and I love them, and I'm going to say their names too. They're Julie Beth of Tarth, Kelly the Jaded Redhead, Blue Lemons, Emily of the Eyrie, William the Tindalos Traveler, Guilty Undertaker, Paul H., and Allison Kreutzberg. Thanks, guys. We love you a lot, and it means a lot to me that you've continued to stick by us through our recent difficulties.
Oh,
Um,
it's the Jaded Redhead's birthday today, so
and it is Kelly's birthday. We love Kelly.
Yep, Kelly, and also our good friend Alex. It's her birthday as well.
Mhm.
So happy birthday to both you guys.
Happy birthday, Alex. Happy birthday, Kelly. They're both awesome. I know Kelly better, but they're both awesome. Yeah, guys, I'm feeling a cigarette coming on. I talked my feelings out. We got through it. I think I'm kind of done.
okay.
You guys can keep going if you want. Oh gosh, so loud. I also got really, what was the word I chose earlier? Medicated before this, and bright lights, Anyway, I love you guys. Should we end it, or should we?
I mean, would you mind continuing to go for just a little bit longer,
Oh yeah, sure.
or
Sure.
no, or no? If you've had it as well, then
Oh, are you talking to me?
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were asking me to stay.
No.
Oh,
You gotta
fine. I'll
go.
just leave then. Fine, be like that.
No, you. Come on, man, quit teasing me.
But I am like I probably shall we? I smoked too much because in anticipation of being very anxious about this, I smoked too much, and I think I need to kind of like. I think I just need to go
calm down.
yeah, relax for a minute, y'all. I love you guys. I'll see
Love
you
you
next
too.
week, though. Next week is episode 200, but also episode 1 of new format.
New beginnings.
New beginnings, where we just talk about what it's like to be in our friend group. And anybody that wants to come join us on stream and talk about stuff, come do that.
And things.
Come do that. I will send you a link, however you need me to send it to you, and you can come do that. I don't need to do that right now, but I do need to go lay down. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later. Until
All right.
then, peace be excellent to each other. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Stev.
Bye.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to keep going for a little bit to maybe talk through a couple more things, but yeah, do you have anything else to say though, Nessie, in terms of like things we've been talking about and
Yeah, please put that on the screen because I somehow or other I got logged. I've got logged out of our StreamYard account again, or I don't know. So I can't do anything. I'm just a guest here tonight. Like I wasn't even supposed to be here.
I know I was very pleasantly surprised to see you hop on.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of surprised myself. I did not know that I was going to have the day off. I was on call to work today, and I've been called in every other chance that I've been on call. So I fully expected to be called to work today. So I just didn't. I didn't get called in. I slept until about noon today, which was delicious. Then I got up and I sat in my recliner with my cat. And I have been doing very little of anything today. I had meant to put something in the in the Slack to say, hey, I'm available for tonight, and I think I fell asleep again. So, oh, thanks, Lady Starfall. I appreciate that. Trust me, I do it because I love it. But yeah, I'm glad somewhere along the way a respiratory therapist helped you out, helped you along the way. I did see in the chat where you have you're an asthmatic. Yep, you're right. So, but yeah, I didn't intend on it, and then I was like, you know what, I really should just join because I don't know where this is going, and Stev might need us. He might need me. I don't know. So I felt like I really should have been part of the conversation, and I could, so I did.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you came on. Yeah, for a conversation like this, it felt good to have all three of us here.
Yeah, I think it seemed right, since this was a big thing about well, where the future of the channel is going. And I saw that being posted. I'm like, I haven't heard anything different. Maybe I should get on here and find out what's going on. But yeah, I'm kind of, in a way, I'm relieved that we're just going to have more of a free flowing conversation kind of thing, not a rigid structure. If we want to talk about something, we will. Maybe it'll be something we've all experienced that week.
Well, because and that's I think the good thing about making something more free flowing be the norm will open us up to occasionally when there is something that we very much want to dedicate a stream to and specifically talk about, then that'll be an easy decision and it won't be something that any of us feel is forced.
Right. And it'll be like something we're enthusiastic about. We have a lot of energy for, and that's that's when the magic happens.
Something else that this is not why I wanted to stay on to talk, but since we were just talking about stuff we'll be watching, and I did actually start watching the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, which I'm very much enjoying. It's very grounded, which is just my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that you would like that. That show, because well, I mean, a lot of the small screen Marvel, whatever, Disney shows have been hit or miss. I mean, not just Marvel, but the Star Wars, all the things that they own that we love. They've been kind of hit or miss for me. Some have been really good. Some have been fun. Some have been ugh. So I'm glad that this is one that you like. I'm assuming, having not watched any episodes, that it's very character driven.
Yes. It doesn't actually feel like an MCU show. It feels I think the person who's behind this, and I could be wrong, maybe I'm confusing with something else, but I think it's the guy behind Mr. Robot. The TV show Mr. Robot, which was another, like, I think it was like a spy type show, but it feels very much like it's a grounded, like, spy thriller drama, and like there's a scene in the beginning of episode 2, I'm not giving away anything, but where it's just Samuel L. Jackson sitting down on the seat of a train talking to somebody else, and like really like just having a kick-ass monologue and talking about trust and talking about issues of race and and I was watching, I was like, he has never been this good in as Nick Fury, like, because
So this is Nick Fury's show.
yeah, and like, and this is not to say anything against his portrayal as Nick Fury and all the other stuff, but there's a difference between Samuel L. Jackson in Marvel mode and Samuel L. Jackson in like serious drama mode. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between which switch he turns on. If he's doing like, if he's in Pulp Fiction, that's a different switch from when he's in Marvel.
On a plane.
Yeah, but this feels like the other Samuel L. Jackson, who's bringing his absolute A game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like kind of what the whole show kind of feels like. And so it's just been really thrilling to see that. And like, I would love to see this kind of style, tone, and energy brought to the new Daredevil show. Like, if it'll be a different person in charge of it, but like, if this was the kind of like vibe and feel that they could do with that, then I would feel okay about the handover from Netflix to Disney, because this is the kind of thing I really enjoy. So I'm glad, and I've kind of made a new decision about the way I take in Marvel stuff, is that, and part of this is because there's so much of it now, but I'm no longer going to watch everything just to stay in conversation with my friends who watch everything from the MCU, because newsflash, it's not my favorite stuff in the whole world. So I'm just going to focus on the stuff that looks like it's really interesting to me, because you figure if they want it to be like the comics, then you weren't expected to read every single comic either. You should be able to pick up the information that you need, just getting the stuff that is of interest to you. And so I'm going to kind of approach the MCU in the same way. Like, I knew that this looked like something that I would find really interesting. So I was like, yes, I will watch that. So, yeah.
So who are the characters on this besides Nick? Who's on the show besides Nick Fury?
All right, so Nick Fury is on it. Talos from Captain Marvel is in it. Who's played by what's his name?
And he's
Ben Mendelsohn.
He's one of the aliens. I can't remember what their names are.
Yeah, the Skrulls. Yeah,
Skrulls.
Yeah, and he's
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's and there's like two different factions of Skrulls, and he is one of the ones who's on Nick Fury's side.
Yeah, the ones we're looking for.
Yeah,
that we already know. Yeah,
and Emilia Clarke is in it too.
Oh, what kind of a role does she have?
Well, that's kind of
spoilery,
a surprise. So I'll leave that. But she seems to have conflicted allegiances. We'll say that.
Well, you got a part of your wish fulfilled. So you're like, Disney, don't give up on Emilia Clarke. Give her some stuff to do.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't in Star Wars. It turned into.
And Don Cheadle is in it too. So Rhodey's there, and also Olivia Colman is in the show too.
Which one is she?
She was one of the actresses who played the Queen in The Crown.
Okay, give me something else she did.
She was in an Oscar-nominated movie called The Favorite. She played another queen. But needless to say, she's a
Okay.
phenomenal actress.
I'll just Dr. Google can tell me. Olivia what?
Olivia Colman. But yeah, so yeah, I was extremely engaged for the first episode, and then with the second episode I was like, yes, I love this. This is an excellent show. So I'm 2 for 2 with recent Marvel stuff between this and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I also loved, which for the same reason, like that felt a bit more in Marvel's wheelhouse, but it also feels more like just one of the best space operas, that they've made in some time.
I know
Yeah.
it's weird. I know it's weird, but I've always kind of thought, even though Guardians have dealt more has a closer tie to say the villain for Thanos. I always thought the Guardian movies were kind of like their own separate thing. They're just like
Mhm.
a half a page off page. They're more isolated, less tied into the what's going on in the quote MCU universe.
And I think that's really serving them well right now, because Volume 3 was allowed to just be wholly concerned with those characters.
Yeah.
And be the end of a story rather than connecting with everything else going on right now. So
yeah, like other than Thor dropping in for whatever reason,
yeah, well, and thankfully they took care of that in the last Thor movie, so they didn't even have to be concerned with that. In this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I love that people will be not surprised if you watched my Guardians 3 stream with Aaron, but otherwise people might be surprised to learn that thus far that is my favorite film of the year. Which says, I think that probably should say a lot.
It does say a lot.
Hey, good. It's been up since after Ice and Fire Con. I got it as a gift. So, yeah. Yeah, no, and it's very me. So I'm glad to have it there.
It's quite John.
So yeah, aside from veering off into Marvel talk, what I kind of wanted to stay on for was just because I didn't want to interject too much while Steven sort of while he processed through his stuff, but I do want to talk a bit more about where I'm at and sort of the state of my own channel. I kind of talked about the fact that I kind of only want to do stuff when I feel like I need to talk about something, because I'm not in a place where I should be doing 2 streams a week, or even like wait, hold on.
Yeah, I saw that.
A little pause for this. I was just so gutted that you weren't there to watch the stream live, Kate. I do hope you've gone back to watch it since, because Aaron and I had a lot of fun. But
yeah, you and Aaron are agreeing on things entirely too much. I think, I'm not sure if it's one of the 7 signs of the impending apocalypse, but you guys better watch out,
Yeah. But so anyway, yeah, so my mental health has not been very good lately. It does seem like the choice has now been taken out of my hands anyway, based on what was the shenanigans that were going on yesterday. But I did make a choice 2 weeks ago to step away from Twitter, which well, I mean, you laugh, but it's like it's a very like it was really difficult, and I've tried a couple of times, and I did try it last year, which I actually succeeded for a couple months before House of the Dragon talk, lured me back. The thing is, I don't do well on social media unless it's like a small private group like what we have. Because it's part of what I was talking about earlier about the way kind of my mind gets splintered 1,000 different ways, and I've found that social media feeds kind of exacerbate that, and it's again what I was talking about losing sort of part of the person that I am, and it's that I'm constantly worried about what other people think, what their opinions on things are, instead of sort of thinking about things, for myself. And when I step away from that and instead focus on things like reading, which I've been bad about lately, and I've said that several times over the past year, but admittedly things have been tough, so it's been difficult to crack open a book. But when I do that, when I sit down and like read a book, focus on a story instead of a million different headlines on social media feeds, I always feel better, because it gives me a place to focus my anxieties on one cohesive story instead of just killing myself with stress and anxiety and all that. So yeah, I've been going a million different ways with a lot of different stuff. So to recap, my mom passed away. We had to put my dog to sleep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I've been going through a lot of like personal uncertainty about things like things pertaining to sort of like my personal identity, talking about with how my online presence has kind of clouded all that, and that's and so it's just made things really hard for me. And to top it all off, some people know more about this than other people, but I've also been struggling with issues of surprising sort of revelations, or discoveries about things related to my sexuality, or maybe even my gender identity, although that seems more like a thing that I've always kind of recognized, but I've felt inclined to vocalize it a bit more to try and process what it all means. And for a lot of that stuff, I don't know what it means. So anyway, the point is, I'm sort of going through all that. It's not an ideal time to be having those kind of reflections and trying to process through all that. But it could very well also have been spurred on by the fact that so much of my life has been upended that I'm, that I've been open to, thinking about different things. And sorry, and now I'm just rambling, but it's needless to say, there's been a lot of stuff that has been running through my head over the past year, and so tiring myself out with, trying to manage my own YouTube channel maybe was not the smartest thing, and trying to start it up again, I think, as much as I wanted to go back to doing it, I think also it was a way to try to push myself past sort of my personal struggles. And when maybe I should have just been focusing on taking more time for myself. But yeah, so I don't know. I just wanted to say some of the stuff out loud and to try and yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just need to say words without knowing where you're going with
it. Well, we've had a few more people pop in the chat. Let's see. Amy's here. AR, hi. Good to see you.
Hi, AR.
Let's see. Stephanie Frederick has popped in. Austin Flowers has popped in. Hi, guy. Good to see you here. Yes, this was the right stream to drop in on. We're just here hanging out, having a good time with one another and being supportive and talking about our feelings. And I mean, we have a cat. That means we win the internet. So just kick back, relax, enjoy the chat. We've got some great people in here. Cassie, I don't know if we mentioned you earlier, but I see you there in the chat. She is, I think she is like the Here Be Dragons official welcome wagon, and recruiting monster. So yeah, we've got her to thank for a lot of things. So I'm gonna put this little guy down now. I know it's hard.
So for anybody who just came in, so the stream started off. We just we're talking about our various mental health issues over that have been going on over the past year, and talking about the fact that we're going to be changing things up a bit with the channel, because it's it's been a lot to kind of plan these things out, and then we kind of feel like we're forcing it, and it's not giving us it's not fun going about it like that. Yeah, and
making us feel good about ourselves. It's adding to the depression and feeling like, oh, we're failing people all the time because we're just
So we're going to be trying something different with the channel, where we're going to come on and we're just essentially going to be hanging out. And we're going to be still talking about things of interest to us, but not in any pre-planned way. We'll talk about oh, what have we been watching this week? What have we been reading this week? And then we'll just talk about how we're doing. And
we might fan ship some things, I don't know, what Bilbo and Tariel. I saw that recently, and I was like, that is a John movie right
there. I just said what everybody was thinking.
You did. Fantasy ships, everybody. Maybe that's what we'll do next time.
You cannot tell me that would not have been a better love story. Just saying.
I don't know that it would have, because I think the tragedy was part of the love story.
Yes, but then, shocker of shockers, Tariel is Frodo's mother, or aunt, or I don't know.
You're really reaching there, John.
No, it wouldn't have been mother. Yeah, it would have been aunt Tariel.
Yeah. Aunt Tariel. Would he
Hey,
have given up Bag End? Do you think? So, because let's face it, Bag End is made for, a hobbit. And everything's are hobbit uh, sized appropriately. Hobbit bastards of the Shire, yes. Do you think Bilbo would have given up Bag End had he hooked up with a hot elf?
yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Fantasy ship here. So then, I guess Frodo would have gotten Bag End a bit sooner. Um, but so where would they live? Mirkwood. I don't know if they would have been welcomed in Mirkwood. Uh,
I think they would have gone adventuring.
you think?
Yeah.
I mean, he was quite adventurous.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yes.
would not have sold to the Sackville Baggins.
Sackville Bagginses. Definitely 100% no Sackville Bagginses. Bagginses. Maybe Bree. Maybe they would have moved Bree. It was kind of like the crossroads of the big people world and the hobbits. Maybe they could have found happiness in Bree. Opened up an inn. You know, I think it would have worked. Plenty of woods. That she could have hunted in the old forest.
Question is, how long do we have this conversation before the Tolkien purists hunt us down and burn us at the stake?
I don't care. They don't know where I live.
Um,
Not on Twitter. I don't
but
worry
I
about
will say, the Hobbit movies were off the reservation anyway, so
Yeah,
let's go for it.
why not? This is our fanfic anyway. It's my fanfic. I'll ship who I want. You know. I always thought, Merry and Pippin would just end up together somewhere. Together.
No, and see, this is this is the thing. As far as just hanging out and having chaotic conversations, worst comes to worst, Nessie, you and I are always able to, to blather on about Tolkien all day long.
We can blather. We can blather. Kelly's apparently a prancing pony fan there.
I mean, who isn't?
I mean, well, but there's always room. You have you offer a good product. You provide a better service. Um, there's plenty of room. Plenty of room. You know, those things come in pints. Apparently, they come in half pints.
Yeah, if I'm sure there's trying to figure out a way to phrase this that doesn't get me into trouble. But
Oh no, get in trouble. I
if
want it.
if in Deadwood, if the two bars / brothels coexist next to each other,
Yes.
then this will work fine.
Yeah. This is fine. There's plenty of hospitality to go around. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Which by the way, I don't remember if we ever talked about this. Did you watch Deadwood? Nessie?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And we can't really stream about that because it's too many curse words even for me.
But But we're not monetized.
Okay, so when Rock and I would watch it, we had our name for it. We called it. Hey, you want to watch some TV tonight? Beep, soccer TV. And I'm like, okay, because that's what we called it. It was a very common phrase. It was in that show.
Oh, Mr. Wu.
Oh, Mr. Wu, and God bless his pigs.
Oh God, yeah.
Mhm. But I never thought. I mean, I liked the actor that played Swearingen. You know,
Oh, so good.
he was so good. And then I see him just pop up randomly on an episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm like, okay. I just couldn't bridge the gap.
And he's a really good guy.
Guy, a good guy. I mean, goodish. It's like,
Yeah, well, he had a bad past.
I mean, you only had like half an episode to deliver, the broken man, uh, the whole broken man story.
But that's the thing. That's how brilliant of an actor he is. That like you only have a little bit of screen time in one episode, and you need for that character to really land. And he just did it so effortlessly.
He did. He stepped right in. He was a whole different persona, but I recognized him immediately. Even though he was so different, and his. I'm not great at recognizing actors, but I definitely recognized him.
Yeah, no, that was such a. And that was like one of my favorite intros to any episode they ever did, just because you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know, is this like a flashback to the beginnings of the Seven Kingdoms, or or what's going on? And it's not until you see the Hound that you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Because and then first you see
yes, Kelly, Ian McShane,
and then you see Ian McShane, and first you're like, oh God, he's up to no good. But then you see him being all friendly with everyone. He's like, put your back into it, and smiling, and you're like, oh, this is not Swearingen.
No, this isn't Swearingen. This is actually a decent human being, or somebody who's trying to be a decent human being,
Yeah. But
how did we manage to get in Game of Thrones?
I know it is,
It's not something we talk about here all that much. But that was one of the episodes that stood out to me, just because it had that. Because I love, oh gosh, I love the Broken Man speech so much, and I mean it. It had it kind of got the point across, not being facetious with pointy things, but it did in like 15 minutes get the point across of that, the essence of that. Interesting that it was Sandor who showed up for that, got the Broken Man speech, and not Brienne, but it kind of worked a little bit. Either way, you could interchange the two of them in things, and it would have been fine, because that's it. They were basically knights on their quests and improv.
I will never forget.
Yeah.
I just will never forget because my dad always watched Game of Thrones in the bedroom,
Mhm.
and I would be watching out in the living room, and I just remember when that episode came on, and you got the whole opening, and then you got the reveal when you see this big guy carrying this super long log.
Mhm.
And then he drops it, turns around, and oh my God, it's Sandor. And then, yeah, all I hear from the bedroom is, I'm calling shenanigans. because there he was, back from the dead.
Back from the dead. Mhm.
Oh, God.
Well, that's just.
Well, no, but, and like, that's just, I love my dad's reactions to things because, like, he always completely enjoyed the show, but he would just make really funny asides about moments.
Mhm.
I think after the Red Wedding, he came out and he was like, "Holy shit!"
It's so funny that he would watch it in the bedroom though. Y'all are all watching the same show.
Yeah, well, because it was always Mom and me were always watching stuff together, so it's like, and sometimes she'd be out in the living room with me, and then sometimes she'd be in the bedroom with Dad, watching it. Probably just depending on how tired she was, but yeah. But it was funny because, and of course, there was a similar reaction when poor old dead Ned lost his head.
Mhm.
But she was on vacation in Maryland seeing family, and so that was just me and him. And that was a case where I was in the living room, he was in the bedroom, and I remember after the episode, he was like, "Damn, that was like a gutsy move on the part of the show." He was really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
he was not expecting that.
Yeah, so your dad was going into this completely as a just.
Oh yeah. And the only reason they were watching this at all was just because I was like really passionate about it, because I had been reading the books for about 2 years before the show came out, and so I was like, I can't believe they're actually doing this, like this thing that I've just been, and it wasn't like I was not part of any A Song of Ice and Fire like fan group or anything.
Oh,
I was
same.
very isolated. I had picked up the books because I had read something on a Tolkien message board about like what are some comparable works of fantasy, like not necessarily like Lord of the Rings, but in that same ballpark of being like really
fantasy,
amazingly well constructed, world building, and so I had heard a recommendation for those books, and so one day I just went to the bookstore and picked up a Game of Thrones, and I was reading it, and like I remember like once it started to get to like the really violent and adult stuff, I was like, this is not Lord of the Rings at all, and it felt really weird reading it. Like,
this isn't Middle Earth at all.
Like reading it in the backseat of the car while my parents were like up in the front seat when we'd be going somewhere, and I'd be like, I don't feel like I should be talking about the contents of the story to them. And so when this show was coming out, I was like, this is really weird. This feels odd, but I was like, I want you guys to at least just watch the first episode of the show because I'm really into it. And then after that, they just kept going. But like I said, I think the thing that really sold it to my dad was the audaciousness of the storytelling choices of like, killing off characters and nobody's safe. And he loved Tyrion. Like, just he loved Peter Dinklage's portrayal and
the Dinkle. Yeah. The dink. Oh, Potter, never change. Never change. Yeah, yeah. Of course, you're like, oh, Sean Bean's going to be in this? This is going to be great.
Oh, my mom was furious at me.
Ugh.
Because, we had watched Lord of the Rings together, and and so
Mom had a little soft spot for old Sean, didn't she?
and so when and I told you that she was on vacation when episode 9 aired. So the whole time I'm like, please, for the love of God, nobody let her near a computer with internet. I don't want her to read about it happening. And sure enough, she made it back like a week or two later, having not heard anything about, what transpired. And so we watched it. And man, as soon as that episode aired, she was like, why would you have me watch this? Why?
Well, she was.
And she swore off watching the next week, but of course she did. And same thing when the Red Wedding happened. She was like, I don't want to watch the show anymore. It's dead to me. And then the next week, she was back.
Whoever is still in the chat, I don't know how many people are still watching this thing. How many people actually threw their book when they got to the Red Wedding? And I'm just gonna be honest. I threw my book. I committed an atrocity. It was just a paperback, so don't at me too much. It was bought to be disposable because I knew I was just gonna go through it and have it with me everywhere. But not only did I throw the book, I put it down and I put the book away, and I said, I can't read this now. I can't do this right now. Storm was a hard book for me.
Yeah,
Oh, you laugh maniacally, you sociopath. Oh,
freak.
Gosh. No, he's a sociopath. They can pass for everybody else. Spoilers, really, Potter? Is it a spoiler that I threw my book? No. Oh, I know. I felt bad after, Stephanie. I really did. I felt bad after I did it. I felt so guilty. I'm like, it wasn't the book's fault. It was George R. Martin's fault for making me feel like that crazy sadistic bastard that lives in New Mexico.
I don't even remember because I think I had actually spoiled myself on the fact that something really bad happened like halfway through the book because I think I had flipped forward in the book looking at like chapter names. And I think that I had noticed that after a certain point there weren't any Catelyn chapters.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh.
And so I was like, oh damn it, something bad happens.
Oh, something bad gonna happen.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was still grueling to read. And you can see the writing on the wall. Like if you know that something like bad is going to happen, like especially with the way it is in the book, because they change up their game plan. Their game plan in the show is different, so it feels like they're ramping up to like a new plan for fighting the war and all this stuff. In the book, though, it's very like filled with grim, like they're retreating and they're going back to Winterfell. It's like it feels like it just feels like a decline.
It is. It is.
And you're like,
Rob,
they're screwed.
Rob's like, he's like, how can I win every battle and lose this war,
Yeah.
Okay, this is weird. Okay. All right, cat. Yeah. But
Um,
it would have been great to have had a Rob POV, because I would have loved to have been in his head for those final chapters, not just in his head, but he and Grey Wolf, their I would have liked to have seen their relationship, what their bond was like. I would have liked to have seen it. I think I feel like, even though it wasn't presented to us overtly, that he had as tight a bond as um as Arya did, or as Bran did, with with their dire wolves, with John. They all
mhm.
shared that, and it just had, the more time they spent together, which they were never separated during you know, the whole thing. They were always together, and it was only at the end that they were separated. Um, and I knew at that point. It's like, of course they're separating the two of them. This is not going to end well. I was
Yeah.
waiting for it. By the time everybody finally got to the twins, you're just like, something horrible is going to happen here. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be bad. You know, the
Uh,
and it, like I could, the cloud of doom had to. I mean, there was no. I mean, there was. I don't think it was the most heavy-handed of chapters. I think that the gloom and doom and darkness ahead was so palpable. In that those final cat chapters.
I will never forget like watching that episode of the show though, uh, and when Walder Frey says, you know, eh, the music will play loud, the wine will run red. It's like, you asshole.
You ass.
Yeah, and then like, people are like cracking up when Walder's making like funny faces throughout the wedding,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
being all humorous and stuff. It's like, no, don't laugh at him. he's he's
don't laugh
pointing.
at bad grandpa's jokes. This is like, Walder Frey was like the Billy Bob Thornton character playing, when he was playing Santa Claus. It's like he is not, it's like, this guy is, oh, he's a father, he's a grandfather, he's got all these things, he's the patriarch of this family, and he is just the most miserable SOB. It's like, you have everything that anyone could ever want. Your family is so important to you. You've got all these things. Why are you so miserable all the time? You know, you think he could suck the joy out of a rainbow. Um,
um no, I will say that David Bradley gives me the most like schizophrenic uh you know like reactions of like how much I like the feelings I have about him in various roles, um because he's just like despicable but humorous, and in Harry Potter where he's just a bit of a he's a bit of a pain in the ass, but he
mhm.
can be dealt with. Then he's in this where he's like the worst scum of the earth imaginable, uh, and then he's plays the first Doctor in some of the Doctor Who stuff, which I have, even though I haven't watched like sat down to watch the actual show. I've seen like a million different clips from the show on YouTube. so I'm quite familiar with his turn as both I guess he played in a movie about the making of Doctor Who, and then they brought him in to actually play that character, the first Doctor, and some of the other stuff. And then he just did the voice of Geppetto in Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and I'm like, I love you.
I love you.
And
you just ruined this for me. I did not know that he was the voice of Geppetto. Let's see. I could say recently watched that movie. So for me, recently could be sometime within the last 3 to 6 months, okay, in the grand scheme of things. But yes, I recently watched that movie and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I love this. I love this movie. Like, I was not expecting this. You know, I didn't know Geppetto was going to fight Nazis. This is amazing. Pinocchio is fighting Nazis. Oh, yeah, I did not know.
But I will say, like, the first time that I tried to watch it, and it was still when I was very emotionally raw from, about Mom. And so the opening with Geppetto and Carlo.
Oh, God.
I was like, after like the first 15 minutes, I was like, nope, got to turn this off. Can't handle it right now.
I can't do that right now. I can't do this right now.
Yeah, and so I think it was a couple weeks later I tried it again, and I was in a much better state of mind, and I absolutely loved the movie to pieces.
Well, you knew, you were prepared for it at that time because, coming in blind and you're like, tragedy right off the bat. Yeah. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do child death at the beginning, of my day right today. So maybe another day. But it really was. It was such a wonderful movie, such a well-crafted movie. And I'm not sure, what is that style of animation, John? I'm not good with things like
stop motion.
Yeah, stop motion. I mean, it had a different flavor, it was different from, other animated movies out there in flavor. And yeah, I wanted to go out with Pinocchio and punch Nazis too. I thought it was great. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Before it's gone forever. And, it was Guillermo del Toro. And I mean, like, I know you kind of know sort of what to expect from him, but also I'm always surprised. I'm always surprised by what he gives me. Yeah. Have you watched any of his Cabinet of Curiosities?
I haven't yet. It's part of, what I've been talking about the whole stream of, like, I haven't made time to sit down and watch the stuff.
Haven't made time to watch it. Yeah.
That I'm like, that is of interest to me, and that's one of those things. I need to make sure I'm making more time for me and, and things that are of interest to me, which I have not been doing a good job at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you gotta take time for yourself, dude. I mean, I had a YouTube channel once, long ago, and I haven't put anything on there in 2 years or more, 3.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things happened at once. And I just didn't have it. I just didn't have the emotional, physical, mental energy to do that. And so I was like, you guys kept asking, like every other week, hey, Nessie, you got anything coming up? Nope. nope. But I just didn't have it in me. And yes, there is one moment that is one of the best the best things on YouTube. One of the best things that was ever on my channel was when I had my good friend Dan hop on, and we spent 2, 3, I don't know how long, many hours laughing and enjoying our love of Monty Python's A Holy Grail. That was probably the most fun I think I've had on any of on my channel. So thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much for coming on. Yeah, scripted content. It wasn't really scripted, Wheezy, but I did put a lot of effort into researching my topics and trying to have people on that could speak knowledgeably about the topic. It was a bit more serious, a bit more serious tone than what we do here. But still, we had a lot of fun, and I always like to have uh, a platform for anybody who had was marginalized by any um, in any way to you know have access to a different audience. And you know it was just nice to have conversation with bright, intelligent people about some things that were totally different from what we would talk about on Here Be Dragons. Yeah. So maybe one day I'll just hop on my channel um, and have some people on, have some ladies on to talk about some hot button topics. You know, and I'm not limiting that to any particular gender or sexual orientation or what have you. Um, it's just kind of like it'll be tea time with Nessie, and we're gonna, we'll spill the tea about, whatever. Yeah, Republicans suck. Supreme Court sucks.
I
Carolina sucks.
yeah, yeah, and like that's a good way to kind of utilize the space that you have kind of when you want to do it. Because not to say I regret the time I spent doing consistent material on my channel, and especially there was a long stretch where AR was my co-host, and we had like a consistent thing which was just so much fun for me, because I got to come on each week and just spend time with one of my favorite people in the world, and um, and and they and we got to just talk about a lot of movies that we both really liked a lot, and that was probably my favorite stretch of time doing the channel. But I was also doing a lot of interesting stuff that didn't involve them being on each week. Like that was the same time where I was on, where I did the stream with Doug Adams talking about the Lord of the Rings music, which was absolutely the highlight, of anything I've ever done on my channel. And so I don't regret any of that, but what I did forget was that when I initially hopped on my channel, it was not with any grand plan. What are we gasping at?
I was just reading Dan's comment there in the chat. Dan still has that coconut. That oh, Dan, love you too, buddy.
But no, what I was saying was that it was the first time I did a stream was because it was Tolkien reading day,
Mm-hmm.
and I just said,
I'm
I
gonna
want
do.
to, I want to talk Lord of the Rings, you know, and of course you will never let me forget the fact that I didn't invite you on for that.
It's a permanent demerit, John. You're never gonna wash the stain away from our relationship.
I know. But so I just so I did have a couple of people just hop on, and it was very impromptu. My mistake was then immediately going into, well, let me do something every week. I should have allowed myself to be a bit more free flowing with it. But then again, like doing something consistently every week got me into, I had a stretch where my numbers were doing insane. Now, granted, a lot of that was just the YouTube algorithm, and maybe
Darling YouTube algorithm there. I think, what was it, Master and Commander, that like
yeah.
broke the algorithm or something?
But also, like, that was, as cool as that was, it was also kind of unhealthy because it
Then
gave
there's
me
the number, yeah.
it gave me an inflated sense of what I was actually doing, which at the end of the day I was still just hopping on to talk to some friends, and those numbers were nothing more than, like, people clicking on,
Algorithm.
like, people clicking on it for a second, or maybe not even clicking on it, because I think, like, if you have the automatic play function on, all it has to do is, like, roll for a second or two as people are scrolling down the feed, and I think that even counts as something. So that's what a lot of that was, and it made me think, oh God, so I've got to get serious about doing this, and let me and do that when it wasn't, should never have ever been about that. So yeah, but live and learn.
I was about to say the very same thing, John. Live and learn. Don't put the responsibility of I don't know, greatness on your head, because it's not something that you need. It's not. Doing a channel, doing a live stream, doing this thing that we do shouldn't be seen as a responsibility. I feel like that's what we've all broke it down to tonight. It's not a responsibility. It's something that we want to do because we want to do it, not because we feel like I've started this thing and I feel like it's important for in some kind of way, and I can't let people down, and I can't be a failure at this, and that's not what it's about, you know. Yeah, we just want to hang out and say stupid shit, and it's on the internet forever for some reason.
Yeah.
It's 8:11, John. Let's get off of this thing. I want to go hang out on the Zoom.
Yeah. And I actually have to get back to doing some work tonight, because it's all work from home, because I'm able to hop on the computer at work from home. So I do have some stuff that I wanted to continue on with before tonight's finishes off, trying to earn that money. But yeah.
One thing, Wheezy, you have been coming on these streams since day one, episode 1. I guarantee it. Join our Slack group. I would really like to get to know you as a person. You seem like a pretty cool character, okay? All you have to do is send a message to we3dragons@gmail.com, and we will have you aboard. I'm sending a personal invitation to you because you have been one of our most loyal viewers for this whole time. You always official timekeeper for Here Be Dragons. And your support has been really appreciated. I knew I could always look up, and somewhere in the chat, Wheezy's going to pop up and let us know what time it is. So, yeah, do the thing, and I'll tell you how to operate Slack. It's easy. It's not a big deal. It's so much easier than Facebook. Trust me.
And
It's
better.
better for
and
your
it-
mental health.
That's and one more thing that I want to talk about before we close out is I talked earlier about the fact that I for the past 2 weeks I've kind of willed myself to get off of Twitter. You know, I'm not I try my best not to preach at anybody. It's not good for you guys. It's not good for cultivating community either, even though like it makes us think it is, but it's not really, because what has solidified the relationships that we've all built up in Here Be Dragons is the Slack group and us hopping onto Zoom, us getting together,
Watch movies, coffee.
Yeah. And then it culminates in us getting together, sometimes at conventions, yes, but sometimes it's just we get together because we all love each other and we
really
want to see each other. These are the relationships that have made all of this worth it. And so I'm going to be trying in my own way to kind of, and this is the opposite of what was dragging me down on Twitter. This is not me trying to like create some kind of social identity for myself, but what I am going to try and do on Slack is just create scenarios, whether that's more watch parties or what have you, for us to all get to hang out a bit more, because I do feel like things have quieted down a bit, and that's fine. You know, there's going to be periods when we've all got stuff going on, and you know, we're not going to be as active on the Slack at other times. But you guys are my family. I want to make sure that we don't ever sort of slip away from, you know, from the close bonds that we all have, and and then that's part of like, that's the other thing that I didn't mention earlier that I wanted to. Sometimes I'd much rather organize watch parties and sit down and watch movies with you guys than hop on a stream and you know, have the stress of like making sure I talk about this and that and that. You know, sometimes it would be funner to just spend time with you guys watching a movie, even if we're not physically in the same space, but it's, you know, but it still feels like, you know, we're having a fun evening together, and we're spending time with each other and stuff like that. And I do want to us like I started doing things in the, you know, the Blue Whatever Lounge channel again, because sometimes it's a bit much to hop on every day onto Zoom and you know, and I can speak for myself. I don't always want to do that. And so, you know, back in the day, having that channel was great for it's evening time. I want to talk with my friends. Let's just hop on there and chat for a while.
Chat.
Yeah. So I want to do more of that. And, you know, and
it's where OJ was born.
Is the alter ego.
The alter ego of John. If you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know.
So yeah, so for me, that's a much better way of like reaching out and spending time with my friends than hopping on a social media app and endlessly doom scrolling. So
I got off Twitter not long after we formed the Slack, actually, I found that I was spending more and more time just interacting with the people here. I mean, I would go on Twitter for various things, but as far as engaging, in conversations and what have you on Twitter, it really just wasn't my thing anymore. I mean, I'd like and comment on a few things, and of course, I'm always going to be on for a Song of Madness every year because every vote counts.
It's in the title, Nessie.
Yeah.
A Song of Madness.
Oh, I did not engage in any of the discourse. No, no, no. I wasn't part of the discourse. I would, okay, it's time. Log in. I've got to vote today. Jump on. Did it. Hit the poll up. Log out. Yeah. So we just we've just slowly collected the people from Twitter that we wanted to engage with all the time.
Yeah, and I will say that, and this is part of the reason why, in addition to Eyrie Dragons, I am also in the Twitteros Discord, because there's people who are technically members of our Slack but aren't in there a lot, who I still want to make sure that I'm having at least some connection with, and they're mostly on Twitter, to be honest. So I can still, I don't want to say goodbye to certain people completely, but I just can't do it. If you guys see me on Twitter again, it'll be because I've failed miserably, and that'll be a bad sign. So if anybody actually sees me post on Twitter, remind me of that, because I need to get off. Yeah, if by chance there is anybody watching this who I've only interacted with on Twitter, go ahead and, send an email this way. Hop on Here Be Dragons, because I'd love to spend time with you that way. And because I love all you guys. And yeah. So anyway,
We're done.
Let's end all that rambling and wrap up, because we've already gone over the 2-hour limit, which Stev is like, what are you guys doing? If he's not asleep.
He's not asleep. I just messaged him to let him know that to look for Wheezy's invite. All right, guys.
Okay, so we're gonna go. Thank you all for tuning into this rambling. But actually, I think this was a lot of this was a really nice test run for what next week is going to be, and I think we did really good with just talking about a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, look for a new format next week, kind of like what we were doing here. And thank you all for tuning in, and on behalf of all three of us, you know what it is. Peace. And be excellent to each other.
Good night.